It has been a year since violence broke out in Manipur, and the violence continues. I have to point out to you, it has not settled. As of the last 1 year, 226 people have died in that state. 1,500 people have been injured. 60,000 people have been displaced, and 28 people are still missing. Now, this is according to the Indian Express. Remember, on the 3rd of May last year, there were clashes that broke out between the Meitei and the Kuki groups. All of us actually scrambling to understand the sort of, the population in Manipur and what that means. But it's really this photograph that will that will really break your heart. What happened was, of course, if you remember, the Meitei community, which tends to be the majority community that's living largely in the valley, went to court and asked for scheduled tribe status. The Kuki community, which is mostly tribal people who live in the hills, have that scheduled tribe status. They actually took out a protest saying that they should not be given to the Meitei community, because allow the Meiteis to buy land in the hills. And clashes broke out around that one particular protest that then, as you know, proceeded to involve large numbers of rapes, sexual harassment of women, murders, people firing at each other. Even now, from what we understand, the state remains divided into two halves, really. There's the Kuki community that has sort of barricaded its parts of the state, and the Meitei community. Family members of missing Meiteis at a press conference saying that they don't know where their family members are. And of course, we will remember that terrible video that did the rounds of those two women who were being paraded naked on the streets and who were then gang raped by a mob. After that, we've had a CBI investigation that has said that the police actually handed over those two women to the mob. The women had run from their homes, from the mob, found the police car, sat in the police car, and the police apparently said, I can't start the car because there are no keys, and waited for the mob to come and sort of drag them out. And then we all saw what happened after that. So it has been a terrible state of affairs, in Manipur. And that has not changed in the sense that the violence continues. Going to our next story, and we should remember that this is part of our country. So, the way media always looks at the Northeast like it's like far away, it doesn't really matter. So, one of the things that we should do is imagine if this were to happen in our own cities or our own states, wherever you are living right now. Imagine if there was violence that broke out a year ago, and the government was not able to get it under control, and people were actually shooting at each other. The portions of the state were divided between two communities, and you couldn't cross over. Regularly, we've had armories of the state police being looted, and guns being taken by various groups and used against each other. It's actually quite shocking that has not been brought under control. Another story that proves that it has been not brought under control is because we had an instance also of the IS examinations, the UPSC examinations. There were no examination centers in the Kuki areas, the tribal hilly areas of Manipur. The examination center was the capital Imphal, and those students actually went to court, and they said that we can't possibly go to Imphal. It's not safe for us. And the government said, we can't have examination centers in your part of the state. It's not safe for the examiner. So obviously that is proof that all is not okay in Manipur. It went on one step further when they said that, okay, we're not going to put examination centers in your part of the state. What we're actually going to do is allow you at government expense to travel outside the state to neighboring states and take your examination, which means that for me, and this was a couple of months ago, for me, that is clear evidence that, that is clear evidence that all is not well in Manipur, and our government has not managed to get this under control. The other big story that we must talk about is this one. Of course, the Prajwal Revanna story continues to brew and get worse with every passing day. There's an entire video that has been prepared that I've put together on the political implications and everything that has happened so far in this case. As someone who grew up in Karnataka, there's a perspective there as well. We're going to upload that on our YouTube page in a little while. But in the meantime, this is the latest that has happened. A former Zilla Panchayat member has now alleged that Prajwal Revana raped her consecutively for over 3 years and used the videos as blackmail. This is a trigger warning for those people who are watching. If you find this sort of thing triggering, that is Prajwal Revana. You can see on your screen. Um, Terrible case where this one Jila Panchayat member has now said, has accused him of sexually assaulting her for over 3 years and recording videos. He apparently, when she went to meet him on official work, he pulled her into her room and he then raped her, stripped her, made a video of it, and used that video to sexually harass her and to sort of make sure that she continued to do whatever he was asking her to do. I mean, the idea behind it's just terrible. We now know that there is an FIR that has been filed against Prajwal Revana based on this complaint of the UC rape, explicit sexual overdose, assault, an attempt to disrobe, and voyeurism because he made that video. We also know that there is an FIR that has now been filed against his father, who is HD Revana, for kidnapping because one of the women allegedly in those videos that became viral has now gone missing. And that woman's son, her 20-year-old son, has now filed a complaint saying his mother is missing. Um, and she was one among the many women who were featured in the Revana tapes. And the police has now registered a case against Revana of kidnapping, among other charges. And Revana has now gone to ask for anticipatory bail. This is the father. He's asking for anticipatory bail against the possibility that the police might actually arrest him. No, I'm not saying that Northeast doesn't matter. I'm saying that there is a bias in the way the media tends to cover Northeast. And that is the bias that we need to actively fight against. That was the point I was making there. But of course, the Revana case is the really terrible case that, is perhaps, I mean, it's come out because of the election. But from what we understand, everybody already knew that this was happening. The Congress already knew, and they waited perhaps for the opportune time for it to blow up. The other members of the HT, they've got a family, possibly already knew as well. And it's very possible that various members, at least of the state BJP, were aware and continued to name this guy a candidate and give him a ticket to contest the election, because at the end of the day, it's all about it's all about winnability. As we know, that is how they decide who gets that ticket or not. Kanishk says, you mean to tell me the government is ignoring the problem, didn't make it go away? Who would have thunk it? Yeah, if you're talking about the Northeast, then yeah, the government has not managed to get that under control. Mohan says, ma'am, wait till election results to understand the game. I mean, this election, we've only done 2 phases. There are 5 more phases to go. I'm already exhausted by this election. It seems to be like really playing out really hard. The other case that we must talk about is this one. In the meantime, the Bengal governor, C.V. Anand Bose, who is this gentleman, has been accused by sexual harassment as well by one of the staffers in Raj Bhavan. He has released a strongly worded audio message saying, waiting for the next grenade and your hidden bullets, please fire. I'm reading this out of the Indian Express. This is what he has said. Referring to himself as the captain of the storm, the governor has also warned his own staff of more sinister plots being hatched in Raj Bhavan. Now, this is a case of a woman contractual staffer at the Raj Bhavan who has accused him of sexual harassment. So, just clicking on that story. So this is the message that he's put out in English. Dear members of the Raj Bhavan staff, I welcome all generous allegations and frequent innuendos being passed at me by the political force. He's obviously referring to the TMC. I understand there's more in the offing. None of the absurd dramas are going to deter me from a determined effort to expose corruption and curb violence. And we know that the governor has taken on the TMC, specifically Mamata Banerjee, repeatedly. For example, this is the case. Governor on Mamata's government as well, and he's constantly talked about how he has called her corrupt. So that is what has happened, and it's deeply worrying, of course, when governors are being charged of sexual harassment. Where do we go from here, really? And so what happens is that political analysts, we just heard them speak, will talk about how the timing is suspect, and these cases are now coming in. So it's possibly about the elections, but really the question to ask is, what does this mean then for women? Justin Thomas says, could you also arrange a panel to discuss the cowardly behavior of the EC and what the EC has done? That is true. We'll discuss that as well. Kanishk Rustam says there were lawyers with BJP affiliation, but it wasn't officially the BJP who held the rally. Let's also look at this story right now. The Congress has decided to field Rahul Gandhi from Raebareli and Kishore Lal Sharma from Amethi. So Rahul Gandhi deciding not to contest Amethi against Smriti Irani, that he will contest Raebareli instead. Um, you know, Raebareli has been a stronghold of the Congress party almost since independence. They have always won that, won that state. It's been a seat that his mother, Sonia Gandhi, has held for a very long time. She's moved to Rajya Sabha right now because her health does not, and age does not allow her to contest anymore. Actually, everybody was sort of like looking at Priyanka Gandhi and hoping that maybe she might, that would be interesting. Is she going to contest? Is she not going to contest? And that would have been like an interesting thing to sort of look at. But it turns out that Priyanka Gandhi is not contesting. It is her brother Rahul Gandhi who remains, the main candidate. She continues to campaign, although she's been very vociferous in her campaign this time and very vocal. And she's sort of, pulling a lot of audience, but she's not going to campaign right now. Raxi Boy says, why don't you invite Abhijit Iyer Mitra as a guest commentator on your show? Interesting. We can try and get him. We get in touch with him. Nathan, tell us about Telangana elections and CM Ravindra Reddy campaign. Okay. KL Sharma is a local candidate. He will win. Yeah, she's a good communicator. A Neural Fusion says, I would also like to see Abhishek Iyer Mishtaki. Two views asking for him. Neil Dubey says, Pune social workers that side with BJP are now saying that we should still vote for BJP and Modi because these news don't matter over governance. I mean, see, at the end of the day, for as long as the politics continues and there's an election on, people are going to say whatever they choose. But we'll have to wait and see how this, how this actually plays out. Let me see what else we have for you. The Prime Minister today has said that the TMC has made Hindus feel like second-class citizens in Bengal. Interesting to the Bengalis or the people who live in the state who are watching. Do you think that's true? Tell me what you think. There's an interesting clash there between Mamata Banerjee and the Prime Minister. He basically said that Hindus, corruption, appeasement in Bengal, he's brought up the Sandesh Kali, apathy. And that's interesting because on one hand you have Prajwal Revana, on the other hand you have Sandesh Kali. It's apples and oranges. If you ask me, I don't see a difference between these various parties at this point. Kannan Gopinath, I remember doing an interview with him a long time ago. I'd love to sit down with him again. And Poonam Agarwal on my panel discussion. That would be, super interesting. Also, let me see what else we have at this point in terms of stories we'd like to discuss with you. Yeah, that was the list of the stories. Of course, there's a lot of the cricket that's going on, but fundamentally, it's about politics and it's about where everything is. Just looking at more of your views, Sir Robin says PM should resign and become a pundit because giving same type of remarks. There was a very interesting remark, and here's a question for you, right? Today there was a quote from the Prime Minister who said, and I'm quoting, if there were two buffaloes, if you have two buffaloes and you want to leave them to your children, it's likely the Congress, if it's voted into power, will take one of your buffaloes. Now, obviously, he's talking about inheritance tax and wealth redistribution, which continues to be the main trope that he's using in his campaigns. Um, and it's interesting that inheritance tax would never apply to buffaloes. It would really apply to the really, really super, super rich. But here he's managing to connect it to the extremely poor people who leave two buffaloes to their children. And I think that that's really interesting. Ganesh says women are 50% of the population. If they're being abused by the government, how will there ever be justice? Women get only looked at when it's time to ask for their votes. The rest of the time, nobody seems to care. Gaurav, thank you so much for your comment. Please remember to like this stream. Shreya says, "What will the government do with buffaloes?" I don't know. It's an interesting sort of accusation. What life gives you buffaloes, you threaten with. All right. Suppose a family has two cows. Will the Congress keep one cow? So effectively, I think the Prime Minister is suggesting that if whatever you decide to leave to your children, the Congress will take half of it, which, as a fact check, I must point out, is not written anywhere in their manifesto. It was something that was brought up by Sam Pitroda, saying that US has such a law. It's interesting. But I think even in the US, it applies to the rich and people who have millions and billions of dollars. Remember, in India, the number of billionaires have gone up. There's a massive, income inequality as well. So it's an interesting sort of. India did have an inheritance tax until Rajiv Gandhi abolished it in the 80s, and since then we've not had a tax of that kind. It's very unpopular to bring that in, especially among the rich people who tend to bankroll your elections by funding political parties. So I don't know if any political party, not just the BJP or the Congress, any political party is going to introduce an inheritance tax or a super rich tax. It seems unlikely. Um, Gaurav says, why is the BJP not talking about its own manifesto? That's interesting. So actually, the BJP talks more about the Congress manifesto than anybody else's. I'm going to wrap up here because we started a while ago. But I want to thank you guys for coming in on a daily basis to What's Up with the News. Like I said, there is a video on the H.D. Revanna entire case and everything that's happened so far with a political view that we're going to upload in a bit. You can take a look at that as well. Like, share, subscribe, and join our membership if you can. It will be our pleasure to bring you more and more content. Thank you so much for watching. How's the weather in Bangalore? Terrible, terrible weather in Bangalore. Thank you so much for watching. And please stay with us and please continue to follow our YouTube page. Have a really, really good Friday night and don't let the politics drag you down. All right. Good night.